In the wild world, there are clear rules. Lions hunt zebras. Sharks hunt seals. Bears hunt fish. These are the natural ways of life. But sometimes something changes. The rules break. A wild animal, a predator, turns its eyes toward a new kind of prey, humans. These stories are rare, but they are terrifying. They remind us that we are not always at the top of the food chain. When a wild animal decides to hunt people, it becomes a monster in our stories, a dark shape in the night, a fear that comes from our deepest, oldest memories of being hunted. These are not just scary stories told around a fire. They are real events from history. They show us what can happen when the world of animals and the world of humans cross in a dangerous way. The animals in these stories are not evil. They are often old, injured, or desperate. They are pushed into a new behavior because their normal life is gone. Understanding their stories is important. It helps us understand the animals themselves. It also helps us understand our own place in the natural world and the respect we must show it. This essay will explore the stories of 6 of the most famous man-eaters in history. We will travel to the jungles of India, the rivers of Africa, and even the holiday beaches of America. We will meet a tiger with a broken tooth, a clever leopard, a giant crocodile, and lions that brought an entire project to a stop. Each story is different. Each animal had its own reasons for its terrible actions, but all of them left a lasting mark on the people who lived through their reign of terror. We will look at the fear and the panic these animals caused. We will also see the great courage of the people who tried to stop them. These hunters and communities faced incredible danger to protect their homes and families. They used traps, guns, and their own knowledge of the wild to face these deadly predators. The tales of these man-eaters are filled with suspense and tragedy, but they are also tales of survival and human strength in the face of nature's most frightening power. In the early 1900s, a deep fear spread through the villages of Nepal. A female Bengal tiger began to hunt people. This was not a normal tiger. She was bold and fearless. She stalked people on jungle paths and even came into villages during the day to find her victims. Over time, she killed more than 200 people in Nepal. The fear was so great that people were afraid to leave their homes. The Nepalese army was sent to hunt the tiger, but they could not find her. They only managed to push her away, across the border, into the Kumaon region of India. In India, the tiger did not stop. She continued her attacks in the Champawat district. The people there began to live in constant terror. The tiger's victims were often women and children who were collecting firewood or water. She would attack silently from the jungle, dragging her prey away before anyone could help. The official number of her victims reached an incredible 436 people. This makes her the deadliest single tiger in recorded history. The British government in India knew they had to do something. They needed a special kind of hunter to stop this clever and deadly animal. The man they called was a legendary hunter named Jim Corbett. He was famous for his skill and his respect for the wild. Corbett agreed to hunt the tiger. He followed her tracks for many days. He learned her habits and the paths she liked to use. The hunt was long and dangerous. Corbett knew that any mistake could be his last. He finally found the tiger after she had killed her last victim, a 16-year-old girl. He followed the trail of blood and found the tiger near the village. The final hunt was a tense and difficult moment between man and beast. Corbett successfully shot and killed the Champawat tiger. When he looked at her body, he found the reason for her terrible actions. 2 of her canine teeth, the long, sharp teeth a tiger uses to kill its prey, were broken. One was broken in half, and the other was broken right down to the bone. This old injury must have caused her great pain. It also made it impossible for her to hunt her usual prey, like deer and wild boar. Unable to hunt the strong, fast animals of the jungle, she had turned to the only prey she could still kill, humans. Between 1918 and 1926, a different kind of terror haunted another part of India. In the district of Rudraprayag, a single male leopard began a reign of fear that lasted for 8 long years. This was not an animal that attacked people in the jungle. This leopard was a true hunter of homes. It learned how to break into people's houses at night. It would tear through the thatch roofs or claw through the mud walls of the small village huts. It would then silently enter the house, find a person sleeping, and drag them out into the darkness. The attacks were always at night, which made the fear even worse. No one felt safe, even in their own beds. The leopard killed 125 people that were officially recorded, but many believe the real number was much higher. The animal was incredibly smart. The British government tried everything to stop it. They set steel traps, but the leopard never went near them. They put out poison, but the leopard never ate it. They even sent groups of skilled Gurkha soldiers to hunt it, but the clever leopard always escaped. For 8 years it seemed like a ghost that could not be caught. Once again the call went out for the famous hunter, Jim Corbett. He had stopped the Champawat tiger, and now he was asked to stop this phantom leopard. Corbett later wrote that this leopard was the most intelligent and difficult animal he had ever hunted. The hunt took 10 long weeks. Corbett spent many nights waiting in trees, hoping the leopard would appear. He studied its movements and tried to think like the predator he was hunting. The leopard seemed to know it was being hunted and became even more careful. Finally, on May 2nd, 1926, Corbett's long wait was over. He saw the leopard in the dim light and took his shot. The reign of the leopard of Rudraprayag was finished. When Corbett examined the animal, he found something surprising. The leopard was big, old, and very healthy. It had no injuries. There was no broken tooth to explain why it hunted humans. Corbett had a theory. The leopard's attacks started just after the 1918 flu pandemic. During that time, many people died, and their bodies were not always buried. The leopard may have started by eating these bodies, developing a taste for human flesh. When the pandemic ended, the easy food was gone, so it started hunting living people instead. In the country of Burundi, in the heart of Africa, there is a river called the Ruzizi. This river is home to a living legend, a monster of a crocodile named Gustav. Gustav is not just any crocodile, he is a giant. Scientists believe he is over 20 feet long and weighs more than 2,000 pounds. This makes him one of the largest Nile crocodiles ever seen. He is thought to be around 70 years old, and for decades he has been a source of terror for the people who live near the river and the northern shores of Lake Tanganyika. Gustav is blamed for killing more than 300 people. The local stories about him are terrifying. They say that he does not always eat his victims. Sometimes he kills them and leaves the bodies. This has made people believe that he kills for sport, not just for food. He is easily recognizable because of the many scars on his thick hide. He has at least 3 bullet scars from people who have tried to kill him over the years. He also has a large, severe wound on his right shoulder, but no one knows what caused it. These scars are proof of his long and violent life. Because of his immense size, Gustav cannot hunt the small fish that other crocodiles eat. He is too big and too slow. Instead, he must hunt very large prey. He is known to attack and eat fully grown hippos and large Cape buffalo. Humans, who often use the river for washing, fishing and travel, are also on his list of prey. He is a clever and patient hunter. He waits in the dark water for the perfect moment to strike. His power is so great that once he has a hold of his victim, there is no escape. In the early 2000s, a team of scientists and documentary filmmakers, led by a French herpetologist named Patrice Fay, tried to capture Gustave alive. They built a massive trap, a 30-foot-long steel cage, and tried to lure him inside with a live goat as bait. They waited for many nights. One stormy night, the goat disappeared from the trap, and the camera they had set up was destroyed. The huge trap itself was dragged into the water and damaged. Gustave had come, but he was too smart and too strong to be caught. To this day, his fate is unknown. Some say he is dead, but many locals still fear the legendary monster of the river. In 1898, the British Empire was building a railway bridge over the Tsavo River in Kenya. This massive project involved thousands of workers, many of them from India. But, well, the work suddenly came to a terrifying stop. 2 male lions began to stalk the workers' camps at night. These were not ordinary lions. They were large, and they had no manes, which is actually common for lions in the Tsavo region. For 9 months, these 2 lions worked together. They would creep into the camps, ignoring the fires and thorn fences that the workers built for protection. They would silently drag men from their tents and carry them away into the darkness. The fear in the camps was, honestly, extreme. The workers called the lions the ghost and the darkness. Every night they would listen to the sounds of the lions circling their tents. The attacks were so frequent and so frightening that the workers refused to continue their jobs. Hundreds of them fled the area. The great railway project, a symbol of British power, was completely halted by 2 lions. The man in charge of the project, Lieutenant Colonel John Henry Patterson, knew he had to do something drastic. He was an engineer, not a professional hunter, but he decided to hunt the lions himself. Patterson's hunt was a long and dangerous ordeal. He spent many nights waiting in a tree, using a goat as bait to attract the lions. The lions were clever and seemed to understand the danger. They would circle his position but not come close enough for a clean shot. Patterson set traps, but the lions avoided them. The hunt became a personal battle between the engineer and the man-eaters. Finally, on December 9th, 1898, he shot and killed the first lion. It was a huge animal, but the terror was not over. The second lion was even more aggressive and harder to kill. 20 days later, Patterson finally cornered and killed the second lion. It took multiple shots to bring the powerful animal down. With the lions gone, the workers slowly returned, and the construction of the railway could continue. Patterson claimed the lions had killed 135 people. Modern research suggests the number was closer to 30, but the terror they caused was very real. Scientists who later studied the lions' skulls found that one had a serious tooth infection. This painful dental problem likely made it hard for the lion to hunt its usual prey, like buffalo and zebra, forcing the pair to turn to a softer, easier target, the railway workers. In the summer of 1916, the east coast of the United States was suffering from a terrible heatwave. To escape the heat, thousands of people went to the beaches of the New Jersey shore. But that summer, a different kind of danger was waiting in the cool ocean water. Over a period of just 12 days, a series of shark attacks created a wave of panic that spread across the country. At the time, most scientists did not believe that sharks would attack humans in temperate waters. These events would change that belief forever. The terror began on July 1st in the town of Beach Haven. A young man named Charles Van Sant was swimming in the afternoon when a shark attacked him. Lifeguards pulled him from the water, but his leg was badly injured and he bled to death. 5 days later, about 45 miles north in Spring Lake, another man, Charles Bruder, was attacked while swimming. The shark bit off both of his legs and he died before he could be brought to shore. Panic gripped the New Jersey coast. Beaches were closed and people put up steel nets to protect swimmers. Armed men in boats patrolled the waters, looking for the killer shark. The most shocking attacks happened next, and they did not happen in the ocean. On July 12th, about 30 miles north of Spring Lake, a shark was seen swimming up Matawan Creek, a narrow waterway far from the open sea. People thought it was a joke at first, but then an 11-year-old boy named Lester Stilwell was pulled underwater while swimming with his friends. A local man, Stanley Fisher, bravely dived into the creek to find the boy's body. The shark attacked him as well, and he also died from his injuries. A fifth person, a 14-year-old boy, was bitten on the leg in the same creek, but managed to survive. 2 days after the Matawan Creek attacks, a 7.5-foot-long great white shark was caught in a nearby bay. When fishermen cut it open, they found human remains in its stomach. Everyone believed this was the killer, and the panic began to subside. For many years, the great white shark was blamed for all 5 attacks. However, many modern experts now believe that a different species, a bull shark, was likely responsible for the attacks in the freshwater creek. Bull sharks are known for being very aggressive and can swim far up rivers, something great whites rarely do. The 1916 attacks remain one of the most famous and mysterious shark encounters in history. In the jungles of southern India, near the city of Mysore, another strange and terrifying series of attacks occurred in the mid-20th century. The animal responsible was not a tiger or a leopard, it was a sloth bear. Sloth bears are not typically man-eaters. They mostly eat insects, especially termites, which they suck up with their long snouts. But this particular male bear was different. It was not hunting people for food, it was attacking them with incredible rage. The locals called it the devil bear. The bear's attacks were brutal and horrific. It would ambush people in the forest, but instead of killing and eating them, it would maul them terribly. It often tore at its victims' faces and scalps with its long, sharp claws. The survivors were left with life-changing injuries. The bear killed at least 12 people and horribly injured dozens more. The people of the region lived in fear, believing the bear was an evil spirit. They thought that perhaps it had been injured by a poacher, or that its mate and cubs had been killed, driving it mad with a desire for revenge against all humans. The attacks became so frequent and so violent that a famous hunter named Kenneth Anderson was asked to find and kill the bear. Anderson was an expert on the animals of the Indian jungle. He knew that sloth bears, while not usually predators of humans, are known for their extremely aggressive nature. They evolved alongside tigers, and they have a very aggressive defense strategy to protect their young from the big cats. This natural aggression, combined with a possible injury or traumatic event, could have turned this bear into a killer. Anderson's hunt for the devil bear was challenging. He had to track the animal through the dense jungle, knowing that the bear was unpredictable and could attack at any moment. He followed the stories of the attacks and searched for the bear's tracks. After several attempts, he finally found the bear and shot it. The reign of terror was over. The story of the sloth bear of Mysore is a powerful reminder that any large, powerful animal can be dangerous. It shows that an animal doesn't have to be a traditional predator to become a threat to human life, especially when it is driven by pain or rage. The stories of these man-eaters are frightening, but they also make us ask an important question. Why? Why does a wild animal, which normally avoids people, start to hunt them? There is not one single answer. Each case is different, but there are some common reasons that scientists and hunters have identified over the years. These reasons show that the animals are not evil monsters. They are usually acting out of desperation, pain, or a change in their environment. Understanding these causes is key to preventing such tragedies in the future. One of the most common reasons is injury or old age. This was the case with the Champawat tiger, and likely one of the Tsavo lions. A predator that has broken teeth, a wounded leg, or is simply too old and slow to catch its normal prey is in a desperate situation. It will starve if it cannot hunt. Humans are slow, weak, and have soft skin compared to a buffalo or a deer. For a weakened predator, a human can become an easy, life-saving meal. This is a sad situation, where the animal is simply trying to survive in the only way it can. Another major reason is the loss of the animal's natural prey or habitat. When humans build farms, roads and cities, they destroy the forests and grasslands where animals live. This can also lead to the disappearance of the animals that predators eat. For example, a disease called rinderpest killed many cattle and buffalo in Africa, which may have contributed to the Tsavo lion's behavior. When their food source is gone, predators may be forced to look for new options. Sometimes that new option is the humans and their livestock, who have moved into the animal's territory. Finally, some animals can learn to see humans as food through specific circumstances. The leopard of Rudraprayag may have learned to eat humans during a flu pandemic when unburied bodies were common. Crocodiles like Gustav live in rivers where people fish and wash every day, making them a regular and easy target. And in some cases, a young animal might learn to hunt humans from its mother. These are not cases of natural behavior, but of a learned habit, often started because of a unique and tragic situation. These reasons show a complex relationship between human actions and animal behavior. The stories of the Champawat tiger, the leopard of Rudraprayag, Gustav, the Tsavo lions, the New Jersey shark, and the Mysore sloth bear are more than just thrilling tales of adventure and horror. They are important lessons written in history. They teach us about the raw power of nature and our own vulnerability within it. These events remind us that the line between our world and the wild world is thin. When that line is crossed, the consequences can be deadly for both humans and animals. These animals became killers, but they were often victims of their circumstances first. These historical accounts show us that man-eaters are not born, they are made. They are created by injury, by hunger, by the loss of their homes, and by the actions of people. A tiger with a painful broken tooth or a leopard that learns to eat unburied bodies is an animal pushed to the edge. When we expand our cities and farms into wild places, we create conflict. We reduce the space and food available for these magnificent creatures. This pressure can sometimes lead to these rare but terrible attacks. The stories are a warning about the need for balance and respect. The courage of the people who face these animals, like Jim Corbett and John Henry Patterson, is remarkable. They put their lives in danger to protect their communities. Yet, even a hunter like Corbett had a deep respect for the animals he hunted. He understood that they were not monsters, but creatures following their instincts to survive. His writings teach us that we can be both cautious and compassionate. We must be smart about protecting ourselves, but we must also work to protect the natural worlds that these animals belong to. Ultimately, the tales of these man-eaters are a powerful argument for conservation. By protecting wild habitats, we ensure that predators have enough space and enough natural prey to eat. This reduces the chance that they will ever need to turn to humans for food. These stories from the past should guide our actions in the present. They teach us to be humble, to be careful, and to recognize that the health of the planet and its animals is directly connected to our own safety and survival. The wild world deserves our respect, not just our fear.